first question I have for you that we wanted to throw out there just to get us started off right. You kind of took a little bit of a fan favorite role last year, I think, from your work ethic and all that. So I got to ask, very first question: do we call you Andrew or do we call you Gutman? Which one do you prefer?
You can just call me Andrew, I guess. I feel like the Gutman nickname started to rub off on some of my teammates because now in training I get called that as well. But I don't mind. I think it's a good little nickname.
So y'all down in Mexico, you had the Atlante match a couple of days ago. I'm sure you've heard that the stream was less than ideal from Atlante. It was impossible to watch. So we wanted to just kind of get an idea from you. Mm-hmm. How did that match go? How did it play out? What kind of stood out to you in terms of what went well and maybe what didn't for the team?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good match for us. They play a style that I don't think I'll ever see again. They played a style where they wouldn't have any midfielders in the middle of the field. They would push them all out wide, create overloads. So in that sense, it was good for us to learn how to adapt mid-game and try to figure out how to defend against these guys. I think in preseason, we're not so much focused on the results, but we're focused more on, implementing our style of play offensively and defensively. And I think we were able to do that. Then obviously when you're down in Mexico and you're playing lower division sides, the pitch isn't the best, and the stadium isn't the best either. So it's all about just adapting and trying to push through the game as best you can. I thought, especially my group in the 60 minutes, I thought we did a really good job.
So Andrew, all that being said, compared to the Chattanooga game and then moving on to the Atlante game, what are some of the tactical things that Gonzalo had you all working on in training?
Yeah, it's kind of just piggybacking off of what we were trying to do last year, trying to play a lot with the ball, but also play direct, getting runs in behind, breaking lines, pushing forward, pressing, all that stuff. I think in the Chattanooga game that probably wasn't the best version of what we could do, but unfortunately, you guys couldn't watch the Atlanta game, but in that game, I thought we did a lot better, especially, pushing numbers forward, creating overloads, defending as a group, pressing high when we can. So I think it's just over these next few weeks, constantly improving on that, and hopefully we'll be good to go for the first game of the season.
Compared to last year's preseason training and moving on to this year's preseason training, have the messages been consistent or have they differed a little bit?
No, I think they've been pretty consistent. I think, every year there's going to be some tweaks. There's going to be some things that change. Even if you win MLS Cup, you're always gonna change things and try to evolve. That's just how the sport is. But I think Gonzalo and the staff have been pretty consistent on the overall style of play that we want, and the main points, at least for me, have been the same last year going into this year.
Well, speaking of last year, after you came back from your injury, you just shot out of a cannon with your offense. I mean, you had 4 goals, 2 assists in 13 games. What changed after you came back from the injury?
Honestly, I think it was, I just started finishing off chances. I think before the injury, I could have had 4 goals and 2 assists as well. I think, part of it maybe wasn't me being as clinical in the final third or a bit unlucky as well. And then, in the second half of the season, things started to just click for me and kind of got on a roll.
Well, as far as stats go, we saw you guys had an epic rock, paper, scissors match over the weekend. So did you play, and what was your record?
Yeah, I played. I lost the first round. It was you played someone, everyone played each other, and then if you lost, you had to be their hype man. So, if you won 2 or 3 games, you got 10, 15 people behind you. So I think the final was Peralta and Amar. And so obviously won because he's down in Mexico in his home country. But it was good. Yeah, good team bonding experience for us. I think it kind of helps the group come together a little bit, that we get to, look back on some of those funny moments that we've had down here.
Well, that's actually
Fight Club vibes. It definitely had Fight Club vibes.
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of hit on that actually. The Mexico preseason. This is obviously the second year that it's happened. Have you been a part of any team that's had any kind of preseason or any kind of camp like this where you guys are? I mean, obviously the travel is typical, I think, but with the amount of like team bonding activities and everything else you guys have going on, have you ever experienced anything like that before?
Yeah, I think every team tries to do it. Whether they're as open as we are about it in terms of posting it on our social media, that's a different story. But every team I've been on, one of the main points of preseason is obviously to get ready for the season. But when you go away to these places, another main point is to become closer as a team, to create bonds, to create some memories that you can hold on to, so that way you feel closer to the guys. And I think especially this year, the coaching staff and the organization has done a really good job of getting us to create those memories.
So there was one I got to ask about. There was the one, and I'm assuming you were there. It looked like it was the entire team, but the one where everybody was around like the dinner table and everybody was holding hands and it looked like everybody got like tased or electrocuted. What was that?
I don't know. I mean, it's Mexico, so anything can kind of happen down here. But we were at dinner, and I don't know if he was affiliated with the restaurant or what, but he had this thing that we would hold on to, and everyone gripped each other's hands, and the electricity would run through us. So it turned into which table could hit the highest electricity volt, and obviously our table won. So because we had Brad. Brad's a psycho, go 100 miles an hour all the time. But that was that's another memory that we created as a team that we'll all look back on and have a good laugh.
That'd be great if you just find out years later it was just some random guy that just snuck into the restaurant and just started people.
People, yeah. Thankfully, everyone's right.
Andrew, I want to ask you real quick. So Gonzalo mentioned, I believe it was last week, that he had brought in sort of a mental agility coach or mental training coach, Ben Freakley, who's worked with the Toronto Blue Jays in the past, other professional organizations. And he's worked with you, I believe Gonzalo was saying, since last year, and he's with you all in Mexico. What are some of the messages that Ben is saying to the team throughout this camp, and what has he been saying to the team over the past few months?
Yeah, it's he wasn't brought in to kind of be the mental coach for the team. He was more brought in for personalization of what each player needs.
Right.
Whether you go to him or whether you don't, he's just another resource that is available. So I think he's been a good addition. I've gotten to know him last year and going into this year, and I think that that's something in this sport or in any sport that kind of gets looked over. And if you can kind of hone in your mental skills, I think that gives you another advantage against your opponents. So I think he's been a great addition to the organization, and I'm sure he's going to continue to do great things for us.
So how's that help with the overall vibe I'm going to this preseason? Of course, last year you all had a wealth of injuries. You yourself were injured, although for a not long period of time compared to maybe Brad and Miles and Ozzy. But the vibe going into this preseason, how's it different?
Yeah, it's been great. I think, having, Miles, Brad, and, Ozzy returning pretty soon, it kind of gives you this like extra push and extra, I don't know, good feeling going into the season when you have those high quality players returning. And also I think going into the season, it was kind of a reset button for us. Kind of forget about what happened last year and take the lessons from last year and but move on and try to create a better season going into this year. And I think so far we've been working hard. We've been trying to gel as a team, trying to be better than last year, and I think we're going in the right direction right now.
So kind of speaking on your play last year, but also your future dreams, aspirations, I guess. Has the men's national team ever come into the conversation for you, or is that something that you're looking to break into?
Yeah, I think, anyone wants to break into the national team. You always want to represent your country. I think it's a big honor. I have not been contacted by them, but that doesn't really faze me. That's not something that, I strive to. I think for me, it's something that is just like an added bonus to when you're playing well. But for me, I try to focus every day on helping Atlanta United and being the best left back that I can be. And usually when you do that, then good things come.
We'll get it trending on Twitter for you.
We get you going in the right direction. You because you were described, I think Matt Doyle from MLS, he said you were one of the top, left backs in the men's national team pool. But I think when somebody were to look at your play from last season, especially, they would look and they would say, this guy plays left back, but he just ends up in like the most opportune places, and somehow gets on the end of these balls in the 6-yard box. How is that something by design? Is that something Pineda has kind of mentioned to you, or is that something that's just been like, hey man, I'm just going to try to get into the best positions possible when I see the opportunity?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a combination of everything you said. I think one of the reasons why I can do that is because I'm able to, run up the field, but then also run back and defend. So Gonzalo he gives me a little bit more freedom on doing that, just because he knows that, I have the fitness to get up and down. And, it always helps when you have an extra body in the box. But at the same time, I also just try to exploit the spaces and create these situations where maybe Thiago Luis or, someone can find the ball in a pocket if I drag a player away. And, sometimes when I do that, I kind of just end up keep running and I find my way into the box on the end of something. So I always say, like, if you don't make the run, you're never going to score. So I always make the run.
Yeah.
Fair awesome. Enough. So I know you got a couple minutes. Wanted to ask, so it was pointed out that you took a Greece trip in the off season. How was that? Where'd you go? What was that like? Have you been before?
No, I'd never been before. My girlfriend and I, we went to Athens. We saw the Parthenon. That was amazing. 2 days we were there. And then we went to Crete, like a bigger island, did a little exploring there, stayed in Hania, which is like an old school style Greece town, which was amazing. Then obviously when you go to Greece, you got to go to Santorini. So we went to Santorini, the whole, villa on the mountain. It was an unbelievable time. A trip that I'll always remember. And so, yeah, it was a good time.
That's awesome.
Any other destinations on your list, or any places you'd like to see soon?
Not soon. I mean, we got the season coming up, but
right.
Well,
in the off season.
Yeah. My girlfriend, she's Filipino, so she wants to take me to the Philippines eventually. So I think that's going to be next up on the list, probably coming up here soon.
Okay.
Sweet. All right. Last two things. One, y'all playing golf down there, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the one to look out for? How are you doing? Who plays with you?
Yeah, it was our off day on Sunday. So it was me, Brooks, Jackson, and Miles. We went out golfing. One of the assistant coaches has some good connections down here, so he helped us get a tee time and everything. But I would say Jackson and Brooks are probably the two best. Miles and I go for the good vibes and having fun. Occasionally there, but no, it was a good time. It was a good little small group activity for us to do, kind of get away from everything, forget about soccer for a day. We had a good time.
Sweet.
If any of you saw Gareth Bale at the pro-am last week, you guys think to yourself probably on the professional tour once your soccer career ends or anything like that?
I mean, probably not me. Maybe Jack Brooks. They're pretty legit, so I could see them doing something like that after soccer for sure.
Yeah, golf for me is totally I'm gonna go have fun. We'll see what happens kind of thing. So I get it.
Yeah.
All right, last little bit, because I know we're cutting it close. I just wanted to do just a quick little three quick questions, almost like a rapid fire type thing. Just fun, whatever comes to your mind first. Super simple. 3 questions. You good with that? 3 quick ones. All right. What's your favorite band?
Ooh, my favorite band. That's a good one. I would probably say Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite, I think I know the answer to this one, but favorite sport besides soccer?
Favorite sport besides soccer? I don't know. Well, let me ask you, what do you think it is? Because you said you might know.
I think is it baseball?
Yeah, and I was going to say
It's actually
basketball. You're Indiana. Tennis.
Tennis. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Totally didn't have that pegged.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: how are you at tennis? Is that something you play often?
I don't play it that often just because I don't want to, injure myself doing something dumb. But I love watching tennis. It's something that I definitely will continue to play throughout my whole life. Probably more so when I'm done playing soccer.
Yeah.
Well, that actually is perfect for the last one. If not soccer, and it doesn't have to be sport related, but if not soccer, what do you feel like you would most want to be doing?
Ooh, well, both my parents are lawyers. So I probably want to go to law school and do something in law. Something in on criminal law, something kind of, I always found that stuff interesting. So that'd be cool to kind of study and learn about.
Sweet.
Very nice.
I wouldn't have had you pegged for any of that. I thought baseball because I remember the mic'd up thing from last year, and you were talking about you used to play baseball. So that's because that's what I grew up playing as well. I was a baseball guy. So,
yeah,
Andrew,
I was for a long time as well, but things change.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Andrew, we really appreciate you coming on, man. It's been a pleasure. It's been a great time.